Hi, this is Cheryl Peterson with the Community of Christ Scientist with a Christian Science Bible lesson read from the New International Version, copyrighted by Biblica, and also from 21st Century Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, a modern version of Mary Baker Eddy's Science and Health, copyrighted by Cheryl Peterson. The subject is God's time. Golden text, Genesis. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times, and days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. Matthew. Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to the buildings. "Do you see all these things?" he asked. "Truly, I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down." As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate one another. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands firm in the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, "Look, here is the Messiah," or "There he is," do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, "There he is out in the wilderness," do not go out, or "Here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, there is vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of these days, the suns will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly, I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. 21st Century Science and Health. To suppose that God constitutes laws of chaos is a mistake. Balance and peace are supported by nature and divine law, even when everything else says otherwise. The scientific divine creation declares immortal mind and the universe created by God. Infinite mind reveals and governs all, from the mental molecule to infinity. This divine principle of all expresses science and art throughout Spirit's entire work, including the immortality of spiritual being and the universe. Creation is always appearing and must always continue to appear from the nature of its inexhaustible source. Mortal sense twists this appearing and calls ideas material. Thus, misinterpreted, the divine idea seems to fall to a level of human or material belief called mortal human being. The breaking up of material beliefs may seem to be famine and pestilence, deficit and depression, sin, sickness, and death, assuming new phases until their nothingness appears. These disturbances will continue until the end of error, when all disorder will be swallowed up in spiritual truth. Divine science, properly understood, disengages material beliefs from the human mind. However, to make room for truth, you must reject and remove beliefs that war against spiritual facts. You can't add to a glass already full. The minds full of faith in mortality make it difficult to inculcate a grain of a faith in God or an inkling of Spirit's ability to make the body harmonious. Temple, body, the idea of life, substance, and intelligence, the structure of truth, the sanctuary of love, a material structure where humanity congregates for worship. The dream and belief of mortal being is entirely separate from the life divine. Immortal life reveals spiritual understanding. Life reveals the consciousness of our dominion over that which is earthbound. Life reveals our ability to overcome error and heal the sick. God reveals the understanding to speak as one who had authority. Jesus said, "When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." The room symbolizes the sanctuary of spirit, with a door shut to the errors of physical senses and mortal perceptions. Closed to error, you are open to truth and can respond to spiritual sense. God knows all things and rewards according to motives, not according to speech. When we mute the mouth, we give audience to divine principle, love. Above the awful mortal distractions, gloomy predictions, and chaos, the voice of truth calls, "Where are you? Consciousness, where are you? Are you living in the thinking that mind is fragmented and flawed, and that evil is mind? Or are you in the living faith that there is and can be but one God? Are you keeping Spirit's commandment? Until the lesson is learned that God is the only mind governing us, human minds will be timid. Until we stop hiding from the call, the head, heart, stomach, cells, neurons, etc. will answer, "Here I am, looking for happiness and life in the body, but finding only an illusion, a blending of false claims, false pleasures, pain, sin, sickness, and death." Some people respond slowly to the touch of truth. Some people feel truth's touch without a struggle. Many people are reluctant to admit that they have responded to truth. However, if they don't admit their improvement, the boastings of evil will shout over good. The mind scientist has enlisted to lessen evil, disease, and death. The scientist will prove the non-being of all that opposed good by understanding the allness of spirit. Sickness is no less a temptation than is sin, and they are both healed by understanding God's power over them. The Christ-like scientist knows that sickness and sin are errors of belief, which truth can and will destroy. Who, that has felt the perilous beliefs in life, substance, and intelligence separated from God, can say that there is no error of belief? The beliefs of mindless matter energy, the fight and flight nature, or morphine substances are flimsy propaganda, yet mesmerizing. So we ask, who will deny that these are the errors which truth must and will annihilate? Scientists of reality must live under the constant pressure of the apostolic command to come out from the indefinite world and be dedicated. We must renounce aggression, oppression, and the pride of power. Christianity, with the crown of love on her brow, must be our queen of life. Students of divine science who start with its letter and think to succeed without the spirit will either weaken their faith or get sadly off course. We walk in the direction toward which we look, and where our gratification is, there will our heart be also. If our hopes and inclinations are spiritual, they come from enlightenment, not from trained thinking, and they produce the fruits of the Spirit. Eternal truth is changing the universe, and physical forces are trying to keep up. Don't be impressed by materialist views that support physical forces. Instead, experience spiritual thought expanding into expression. Let there be light is the perpetual demand of truth and love, changing chaos into order and discord into the music of the spheres. The material theories of creation provide nothing to build on and are unable to support views of creation as revealed by infinite mind. Remember, brain is not mind. Physical particles can't be sick, and mind is everlastingly immortal. The human body is an erroneous conviction that mind is divisible and miserable. What is called matter energy was originally error in solution, an immature human mind, likened by Milton to chaos and old night. One theory about this human mind is that its sensations can reproduce people, can form blood, flesh, and bones. If the generations had not been trained to believe matter is the medium of person, then the science of being, in which all is divine mind, or God and love's idea, would be clearer. Science elucidates the fact that we cannot enter our own embodied thought, bind ourselves with our own limited thinking, call these bonds material, and then name them divine law. Spirit creates heavenly or celestial bodies, but outer space is no more celestial than our earth. This text gives the idea of the diffusion of thought as it expands. Divine mind forms and peoples the universe. The light of spiritual understanding gives glints of the infinite, even as black holes indicate the immensity of space. Again, in the narrative, time is still not measured by solar revolutions, but by spiritually clearer views of truth, evenings and mornings. The most satisfying and sweetest rest, even from a human standpoint, is in holy work. Immeasurable mind is expressed. The depth, breadth, height, might, majesty, and glory of infinite love fills all space. That is enough.